Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Mish, Mayhem.
Mish, Mayhem.
Where we take the schoolyard question of, hey, which one of these fictional characters will beat the other one in a fight? And we talk about it in a podcast.
That's what we do, so I've heard.
Allegedly, it is what we do, in the way that we've done it at least once before.
People don't know that. This could be episode 1. They don't know. I
just said
that.
episode 2. It has to be episode 2.
Yeah, I know, but we could be tricking them.
I am Chris.
And I am Wade.
Last time on the podcast, further confirming that this is episode 2.
Nice. Very nice.
Sub-Zero battled with Link in a hospital.
That he did.
It was most exciting. Did you enjoy that battle?
I think that Link suffered with an environment issue.
Yes, Sub-Zero won largely due to the fact that he was better in confined space. But also the fact I think he had just a wider variety of abilities.
Oh, well, if it had been like a school playing field, I don't think that would have helped him win ultimately.
Fair enough.
If you go back and you had to pick one defining thing.
Yeah, it would have been the environment.
I think it was the environment. But that's fine. That's what happens when you play with the Die of Death.
Die of Death!
We're not taking sides. I mean, we do take sides, but only for the purposes of displaying information. We're not actually biased. Each episode, we're going to take our 2 Wii fighters. They're probably not Wii. They're probably regular-sized fighters. We're going to go through their stats. Well, I say stats. We're going to go through, what they've got available to them, their experiences, their general goods and bads. And then we're going to roll the Die of Death.
Die of Death!
And we're going to have a little discussion about what the environment would entail. With that, we'll include starting parameters for these fighters, where they're going to start. And then we'll have a wee talk about it, which are tended to take a kind of, not a turn-by-turn format, but it was kind of a bit of a to and fro format, wasn't it? Last time. We'll see if that happens again. It might do. We don't know. We're just making this up as we go.
Don't tell them. Unprofessional.
So I guess it's time to introduce the fighters.
Well, we have the reigning champion with a streak of 1 win. As I mentioned earlier, Sub-Zero is coming back.
He's back, and this
Link.
time it's warm. Wait, no, that doesn't work.
I mean, it might be warm. It depends on, I guess, the environment there is.
Yeah, it's very true. Is he like in the blue corner then, should we say?
Go, blue team! Yeah.
Blue team. Kudos to anyone who gets the reference. And in the red corner, I guess. What clue did we give from last week? Do you remember?
We said that he was a bad guy and that he could quite easily be interpreted as a comment on racism.
Oh, yeah. That's not really much of a clue, is it? I mean, it could be if people know what we're like, but they don't. But they might. But they probably don't.
Sometimes even we don't know what we're like.
No, we don't. Today, we're introducing old Tom Riddle, the Dark Lord himself, he who must not be named. If we can get through this whole podcast without mentioning his name, do we do well?
Yeah, except that you opened with Tom Riddle, and in many respects that is his name.
That's not the name that people fear, is it?
No, but in some ways it's more his name than the name that people do fear.
Oh, that's true. But it's not like people go, ooh, Tom Riddle. No, they're really scared.
Did you know an interesting fact about Tom Riddle is that in every different language, he has a different middle name for the bit where they do the anagram.
So how does that work? Is he still called Tom Biscuit Riddle, and then it just makes a different name that sounds threatening? Like, does he have a different name that isn't Voldemort? I've ruined it already, but I'm not worried.
No, he still has the name Voldemort, but the anagram it makes is I am Lord Voldemort.
Oh, so it has to say I am, but in that language.
Yeah.
Got it.
So his middle name, because I'm pretty sure it's something like Marvello in English.
Yeah, I think it's Marvello.
But it changes in each language.
Yeah, so it says Je suis Lord Voldemort.
Yeah.
I wonder why his middle name is in French.
I don't know.
French middle name. Yeah, Je suis Voldemort. His name is Tom Elvis Jedusor, and his middle name is Elvis.
Oh, right. So apparently his surname changes as well.
Yeah, I imagine it's quite hard to get good in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, and interestingly, Jedusor is a phonetic spelling of J'ai du sort, a phrase which means a twist of fate.
Ooh.
So, the French one works quite well.
Yeah.
And his name's Elvis.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a bit silly.
Introducing Elvis Voldemort. Anyway, should we start with the reigning champion?
Yeah, a bit of a recap. If you want to listen to it in a bit more detail, listen to episode 1. Unless you've already done that, in which case, well done you.
Well, listen to it again.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. How many times have you watched a film more than once? How many times have you played a game more than once? How many times have you read a book more than once? How many times have you ate a food more than once? Listen to the podcast more than once. Do it.
And then tell your friends. Unless you hated it, in which case, just keep quiet.
Unless you think they'll like it, and then tell them anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Even if you don't like it, other people might. Right, we are using the second Sub-Zero as our Sub-Zero. So that's Kuei Lang. He is a powerful cryomancer because he uses much ice magic. He's also a trained ninja, and he is the Grandmaster of the ninja clan Lin Kuei. His most famous move is the Ice Ball, where he fires a projectile, a ball of ice, that freezes an opponent on contact. He's also got a sliding kick that allows him to go from a standing start to travel distance and hit them with a low blow. If he enhances it, it can add an uppercut to fling his opponent over him and get them trapped in the corner. It's very helpful. He has the Ice Burst, where he punches the floor, creates a shockwave of ice damage, like hurting nearby enemies and staggering them. Again, if he enhances it, it allows him to follow up with a combo instantly, and he doesn't have to do his sort of recovery time from using the attack. He's got the Ice Clone with a K.
Okay.
Yeah, with a K. It's the Mortal Kombat thing. The Ice Clone with a K, where he creates a likeness of himself that if an opponent makes contact with it, they become frozen solid. You can also pick up the Ice Clone and throw it as a projectile, where it doesn't freeze your opponent, it just sort of shatters on them and does damage. Due to the fact that it is a life-size human made of ice, it is quite a big projectile and therefore quite hard to avoid. He can also, using his Ice Burst, blow up one of the Ice Clones and spray his opponent with shattered ice.
Which can be really refreshing.
Refreshingly stabby. It's probably the most refreshing way to be stabbed.
How would you like to be stabbed, sir? Refreshing.
Absolutely. I imagine, actually, Sub-Zero would be a really good person to have
Cocktail
working
event.
in, like, a beach bar. Yeah, like a cocktail thing. He'd just make ice for
Yeah. He'd be really good. Just like, can you freeze this bucket, please? Like, yeah.
That'd be great. And then they'd make a sword to, like, smash it all up.
Yeah.
Wow. So when he's retired from Mortal Kombat, he needs to go and work in some sort of, like, luau. That's the absolute, like, best job for Sub-Zero.
Absolutely. Because he's a trained ninja, he can do all the, cocktail throwing stuff as well.
Yes.
If he can't, he wasn't trained very well as a ninja.
Yeah, and he can make ice shurikens.
Yeah. Be great.
I'm sold. I just want to see this as a thing.
Sub-Zero cocktail maker.
It'd be excellent. He has the Frozen Aura, where he covers himself in a layer of frost, which negates any chipping damage while he's blocking. He has the Barrier of Frost, where he creates a wall of ice in front of him that freezes anyone who touches it. Using his cryomancy, as I just said whilst talking about cocktails, he has made swords out of ice. He's also made hammers out of ice. Both of these can be used to attack or quite big damage. He can also leave the sword impaled into somebody to cause them to constantly bleed out, which is a lot of fun. He can freeze the ground, making people slip around and be unstable on their feet, allowing them to be open for attacks. And then he has a whole plethora of fatalities, largely involving destroying people's spines and or heads. Yay. One thing that we annoyingly talked about on the last episode but didn't actually explain was the X-ray moves. And these were moves introduced in Mortal Kombat 9 that if you powered up your character with enough stamina bars, then you could unleash them to do sort of really heavy damage. And ultimately, they were kind of like mini fatalities, because they were definitely stuff that should kill somebody. But because it was Mortal Kombat, they don't.
Pretty much. But I mean, realistically, the same goes with, like, swords. Because we use swords a lot. In most games, you can slash a creature with a sword a couple of times. But some take a lot of swords. And you'll be like, well, if you've got a sword and they're really good, you can kill them.
That is true. But just let me explain, tell you what his X-ray moves were, and you justify whether or not you think it should kill somebody.
Okay, let's go.
So his MK9 one is he sticks his hand inside them, grabs hold of their stomach and crushes it, then headbutts them so hard their skull shatters and they fall off his hand, which is currently inside
I mean, it wouldn't be a pleasant life afterwards.
Well, yeah, for maybe that, 10 minutes?
I don't know, people survive without their stomachs, don't they? They have those little baggies.
Catheter bags.
Actually, I think that's instead of intestines.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but if you have one of those surgically attached and stuff, not if you have your stomach squished.
I reckon if there was I'm not saying that this is likely. I'm just saying if there was a good surgeon on site, you'd be able to survive.
Okay.
Potentially.
All right.
Potentially.
Well, then let me step it up for you with the MKX.
Let's
one.
go.
So it starts the same, where he sticks his hand in and squashes their stomach. But then rather than headbutting them, he catches a drop of blood that comes out when he does it, freezes it into an icicle, and then stabs them in the eye with it. So it goes like through their eye and out the back of their head.
That's not ideal.
No.
How big is it?
Well, the icicle,
Yeah.
half a foot to a foot.
6-inch diameter. That's like this. That's literally 3/4 of
Oh,
someone's face.
no, not diameter. That's
Oh
like,
no, I want about diameter. Yeah.
Probably about eyeball size, really. It fits quite nicely into that socket.
Okay, that's survivable. People have survived like bullets through the head, brains through the head. It's not
true.
ideal, and it's not likely, but it is survivable.
Okay, I mean, really, that's a quick recap. That's sort of what he's going with. I mean, he's got lots of different punch and kick combos and stuff, being quite a well-trained ninja, and he is quite skilled with his weapons.
Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Right, in the red corner, as I say, we have the old Dark Lord himself, Lord of Voldemort, or as we've already established in French, a different name. Once upon a time, he was a wee little child, like us all, called Tom Riddle, who was very good at school, got some excellent grades, and he also was slightly evil.
Yeah, watch out, people, for anyone you know who's got good grades, because the chances are they could turn into an evil Dark Lord.
It happens all the time. Disclaimer, because, there are lots of people out there who are bloody good Pottermaniacs. I am not a Pottermaniac. I have done a little bit of revision today, but if I get anything wrong or don't know things, don't blame me. I'm not a massive Potter nerd. So, just roll with it. Unless there's anything dramatically wrong, in which case, absolutely call us out on that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, if you get something wrong, tell us on the Twitter, and we can apologise.
Apologise for our incorrect facts.
That's it.
Anyway, start off, he had fantastic grades, but eventually he started wanting to learn to split his soul into many different pieces and live forever, as you do. All in all, he made 7 of these Horcruxes intentionally and an unintentional one in the scar on Harry Potter's forehead. We're going to treat this example, for the sake of not being just like, lol, you can't kill him, that all of them are gone except Nagini, his attack snake. Nagini is not an attack snake, but it is a snake which can attack, and obviously then, that'd be his last one. So, in this example, Harry Potter's either dead or never existed.
We just sort of felt if the prophecy was involved in this, we'd also have to have Harry Potter and have to have whoever he was against murdering Harry Potter, which seemed an unnecessary complication for a one-on-one fight.
Let's just make things simple. He's very well versed with lots of spells, being a wizard, but as he's the Dark Lord, he tends to only deal with a couple. He does a lot of good defensive spells, that's against other magic, and Sub-Zero doesn't really have much magic. His main...
Sub-Zero shoots ice, that's magic.
Yeah, but it's not like Dumbledore magic, is it? You know what I mean?
Are you trying to say that you don't think a protective charm would work against
No,
ice?
what I'm trying to say is, that epic duel he has with Albus Dumbledore, and he does all those really cool magic things. Actually, I think Dumbledore uses that. Actually, yeah, don't worry, I'm getting my swords crossed. Swan.
You're getting confused about wands.
Yeah, get my wands. Anyway, his main arsenal, most would probably agree, are the unforgivable curses. These are just 3 badass spells that they banned in Harry Potter for moral reasons. Main one, of course, is one that everyone knows, Avada Kedavra, the killing curse. I'll read the description. Causes instant and painless death.
At least it's painless.
It's very true. At least it is painless. It seems quite forgiving, really, of
You are dead, but softly.
so softly. It has no counter curse. It cannot be blocked by most magical means, but it can be dodged. If we block solid objects, will stop it. And there are a couple of other spells which will stop it, particularly stunning spells. And that's just an insta-kill. He likes spamming that. If you had a move that just instantly killed people, you'd spam it. Spam.
So, for the purpose of this, just to clarify, are we still going to count Avada Kedavra as an instant?
I mean, why wouldn't it be?
I was just wondering, just checking, because obviously that might be considered an OP thing to
I'm
bring
not
in.
the one who brought Lord Voldemort into this.
No. Interestingly, as I said at the end of last episode, and we'll probably say it again at the end of this one, feel free to suggest us ideas, for who you want to see in this. And when I was talking to some of my friends about us making this podcast, Voldemort was actually a thing suggested to us.
Was it?
Yeah, so thank you, Perry, for suggesting Voldemort.
Oh, thank you, Perry, for giving us the killing curse.
Yeah, is that OP bullshit you've brought in?
Yeah, this is your fault, Perry.
Anyway,
the second unforgivable curse is the Cruciatus curse, or Crucio. Description: inflicts excruciating pain on the recipient of the curse. Brackets: tortures them.
Yeah, that's a classic favourite of Voldemort and the other high up and messed up Death Eaters.
Yeah, it's not a nice curse. But it doesn't kill people, it just kind of makes them writhe around on the ground. It's not nice.
No, if it's used prolonged on people, then it has the serious effects, doesn't it? I'm sure I remember in the books, but I could be wrong. Again, Potter people call us out. But I think Neville's parents, the reason he lives with his gran is because his parents are in a mental home because they were ridiculously overly crucioed by Voldemort to the point they broke.
Alice and Frank Longbottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries.
There you go.
Or SHME for short. There's a reason they don't abbreviate that. The final one of these three, the only reason I'm going through only these three is because honestly, I can't imagine Voldemort not using these three curses most of the time. The Imperious Curse. This causes the victim to perform the unquestioned bidding of the caster, which is awesome, really. Don't know why they don't use it all the time.
Because it's morally grey.
Well, Voldemort isn't morally grey, is he? He's morally black.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I was going to say it's not morally grey. It's just.
But there is the caveat that those of particularly strong will can resist it. It's not like in Vada Kedavra where if you get hit with that, you're gone. It's if you get hit with it and you're particularly against the idea of what's happening and you're particularly got a strong mind, you'll be able to go against it, which is always good. And what's important about all of these spells, of course, is that unlike Sub-Zero, old Voldemort needs a wand to be able to cast these, which is an important thing to consider. Is he equipped with the Elder Wand on this, or just his normal wand?
Just a normal wand, I would assume.
Yeah, just his normal wand. So he's got his normal wand, some wand in it. I don't know enough about his wand. I'm assuming all wands are just as powerful as each other apart from the Elder Wand.
I believe so. It's up to the power of the person wielding it. And
yeah, let's go with that. Cool. Harry Potter fans absolutely slate us.
That's it. Well, I mean, when this comes out, I'll just get it from my wife. She's a massive Harry Potter fan, and she's just be like, "Wow,
why didn't
clearly...
you consult me?" That's not how she sounds.
It is sometimes.
It is sometimes. Another thing about old Lord Voldy is he did almost once die, and he was essentially free floating as a weird soul in the mortal plane.
It was kind of like when a Jedi dies and it becomes a light ghost. He was like the not very light version of that.
I mean, I'm not sure that's entirely true, but okay.
Yeah. The dark ghost.
Dark ghost. But he was made a body of the bone of his father, the blood of his arch nemesis. I'm not sure why it was Harry Potter's blood he needed. I did read it earlier, but only very briefly. And the hand of Peter Pettigrew, that made him a new little body, which is why he has no nose. So because he's reanimated from this state, his body isn't the most physically prowess body ever. But obviously wizards don't pride themselves on being able to do obstacle courses with normal abilities. So, you're probably not that worried about it.
Also, a weak body is better than no body.
A weak body is better than nobody. He likes inflicting pain on people. He's quite torturous. He thinks people are, like in the Harry Potter world, he's a racist against half-bloods and muggles. Well, maybe not so much muggles. I don't think he cares about muggles so much, but definitely
no, I think muggles should be subservient.
Maybe. I could spend a long time since I've read it. And he is a raging psychopath, which is always good fun.
It's a good thing for a villain, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be really boring if they were incredibly compassionate. What kind of villain is this? Actually, it'd be really interesting. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was done well. They could be compassionate towards people, just, have a evil outlook on life.
Yeah, when it gets down to it, he does have a fear of death, but for the most part, he thinks he's invincible, so it doesn't really matter anyway. And being a wizard, he can fly, but most wizards can't fly by themselves, but he can. He's excellent. But he can't really do much without a wand, because as far as I'm concerned, wizards need their wands to do most things. I know he can fly without his wand. Remember that scene where he's like chasing Harry Potter on the bikes in the flying?
Yes. According to J.K. Rowling, the reason he can fly without a broomstick is because he's super in tune with magic, and apparently he's one of the very few wizards that can actually do that, as most can't.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but that being said, I suppose most wizards can teleport. Not quite the same, but similar.
Well, that uses a magical enhancer, doesn't it? Like, is it flu powder?
No, I was meaning because they can apparate.
Oh, but doesn't that require a device?
They might need their wand for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Otherwise, they'd be doing it all the goddamn time.
I mean, they do it quite a lot.
Probably not often enough. That is a quick overview of Lord Voldemort. Oh, his snake, Nagini, is a big ass like pipe.
Yeah, it's massive and it bites people.
Oh, Nagini is a type of viper.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's a bitey snake and not a constricting snake.
It's a big viper. Canonically, though, of course, it gets killed by a nerd with a sword. Spoilers. So, don't think the snake's going to be much of an issue.
Oh my god, I hope that Sub-Zero can recreate the scene by cutting its head off as a counterattack.
Where is he going to look like a nerd while he's doing it?
Yeah, he might just have to find himself a cardigan before he can do it.
Sub-Zero spends the first half of a fight trying to find a cardigan. Oh dear. But yeah, that's that. So where are we today?
I don't know. We'll have to roll the die of death and find out.
Canonically speaking, Sub-Zero, he was in a hospital, he beat up a dude with a sword because he was trying to beat up him, and then he's got his wounds tended to, and he's wandered off for like a bit of reconciliation, and he's wound up in the...
They are on top of a
I
mountain.
mean, that seems... What mountain?
Just a mountain.
A mountain.
I don't know, what mountain would you like? Pick your favourite mountain.
My favourite mountain's on Mars.
Alright, pick your favourite earthbound mountain.
Probably Tryfan. I said Lord. I don't know, probably Tryfan in Wales. It's a good mountain.
Sure. They could be atop that mountain.
Okay, so Tryfan's got I don't know how many people know Tryfan. It's one of the Welsh 3000s. It's quite steep up the north face, but that's not important because that's not at the top of the mountain. It's not the biggest mountain top ever, but then again, most summits are, you wouldn't call just the peak the top. You'd call a small border below at the top, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Yeah. There's two big rocks, one called Adam, one called Eve. They're about 2 meters tall, maybe a little less. You're supposed to jump from one to the other. And if you fall one way, you probably hurt your ankle. And if you fall the other way, you probably die. That's Tryfan in a nutshell.
You see, that what he doesn't know about Harry Potter, he makes up for by knowing about mountains.
Well, I need to do the jump from Adam to Eve one day. But when I went up there, the one time I've been up there, they were covered in ice. And given what I've just told you about the two options of falling off, I was like, yeah, I think I'll pass.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I can get you some photos of Tryfan. But just for the sake of so you have an understanding of what we're talking about. Now, this is a good example. It's very rocky. It's it's not a grassy. It's not like a hill. It's very, very rocky, very hard.
Okay.
Not too big.
Yeah, it looks pretty much what I had imagined. I mean, possibly in my mind when I sort of thought about the top of a mountain, there might have been a bit of snow.
There was when I was up there.
Sure. And let's be honest, at time of recording, January 13th, I can believe there's snow.
Yeah, I mean, there might not be because it's been a very mild winter, but, we'll pretend there is.
Sure.
I mean, it has been a mild winter.
It has. I mean, January's been a bit cold.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Supposedly the snow is coming end of January.
Is the snow actually coming?
I don't know. Does the snow ever really come?
Sometimes. Normally when I'm not there.
Who would instigate the fight, do you think?
Well, I think Sub-Zero's, up there chilling on this mountain.
Yeah, I feel like he'd have a bit of a meditate.
Yeah.
And then Voldemort would turn up and be like, you defeated Link, who was protecting Matt from bullies before, but now I protect Matt from bullies, and I'm here to avenge it.
Wait, are they all protecting us from bullies?
Yeah, I feel like that was canon.
Okay.
You said it, I'm just making it real.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Did I really?
God, go back and listen to episode 1.
Well, I tried, but I couldn't download it because my internet was crap. Oh dear. But I don't think he'd even shout out. I think he'd just be like, fucking spell, yo.
Probably.
I don't think he'd say spell, yo, though. Mostly because that isn't a spell.
No, I don't see Voldemort as particularly straight.
It isn't a spell. It wouldn't work. Yeah, I imagine Sub-Zero would be up there. For the sake of not killing Sub-Zero in a second, Voldemort misses because of wind and because he's flying. At the end of the day, he still has to have a good aim.
Right, okay.
And I'm not saying he doesn't.
No, but I guess, so he's doing the whole turning into black smoke flying thing. That's how he got to the top of the mountain.
Oh yeah, he's not going to climb, is he?
That's it.
He's
I mean,
fucking Lord Voldemort.
absolutely. So Sub-Zero's out there meditating, sees the black smoke with Voldemort's head coming past, thinks that's not right.
That shouldn't be there.
No, suddenly green flash of Avada Kedavra, and he quickly dodges out of the way, and the fight begins.
No, let's be honest here. Voldemort is not going to do much else than fly around. He'll probably land because it's easier to shoot someone at a medium distance, you know what I mean, than a...
Yeah.
I don't imagine he's going to do much different than just shoot off green spurts everywhere.
Yes.
Just throwing it out there.
It's just Avada Kedavraing all over the place.
He is. What is Sub-Zero going to do about that?
Well, he'd have to instantly go on the defensive. I feel like he'd use his ice barriers to try and protect him, or his ice clones.
Okay, yeah. An ice clone is a physical object. It's a good shout.
Yeah, so is the ice barrier. It's a wall of ice.
Oh, excellent. I thought it was just like an icy... This sounds stupid. I thought it was an icy barrier that isn't actually physical. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I will try and find you a picture.
Is it like the wall of ice move in the film?
No, because it's not a pulsing bubble, which was weird and unnecessary.
There'll be a bucket of water when Sub-Zero does the obvious ice shield move. You can throw it here. You can throw it at him.
Yeah, really, let's be honest, the only good fight in the first Mortal Kombat was the one with Johnny Cage and the Scorpion.
Yeah. Possibly Kano and Sonya.
I feel like that captured the character of Kano very well, but Sonya just sort of killed him.
Yes. Silly bitch. So you think he's going to go for a shield first?
Yeah, so he'd probably do an ice barrier, try and block it, and then he'd sort of see how long it takes for each spell to go and try and find the gap to react to fire back in.
Yeah, because that's an important thing to note, is obviously Voldemort can fire these off one after another, but I don't think that they, that he can't just fling them off constantly when he can.
No, there's probably like at least a half-second gap in between each one.
The casting time on average seems to be about a second, which makes sense. I can say in Avada Kedavra, about a second.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they're going at about 30 foot a second.
So it probably takes about a second to fire it and about a second to get to Sub-Zero.
Yeah, it's probably about the same speed as someone running the 100-meter sprint. It's like having Usain Bolt run at you at full speed out of Voldemort's bombs.
Or did it take him to do that, like 9 seconds?
Yeah, 9 seconds to do 100 meters. It's about that speed.
Yeah.
So it's definitely avoidable.
Do you think there would be recoil? Because obviously I understand normally when people are hit by it, they die. But if he's put up a barrier in front of him, do you think it hitting the barrier would be pushing him back?
No, it would just shatter the object. I don't think there'd be any recoil. If you hid behind a bookcase, the bookcase might explode, but I don't believe that there would be any noticeable back knocking. I don't think you'd be the equivalent of stunned.
Okay, so yeah, I think really. So if it's 9 seconds, we'll say he's probably got a couple of seconds to make the new ice barrier and a couple of seconds to move.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be looking for the opportunity to fire his ice balls back and to try and freeze Voldemort.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Now imagine an ice ball travels at a similar sort of speed to an Avada Kedavra.
I think a little bit slower.
Yeah, that's it, maybe slower. If Sub-Zero has enough time to dodge, so does Voldemort.
Mm.
So to me, they would just be spiraling around like this small area.
Just fire spells at each other.
Yeah. In quite the stalemated fashion. How easy would it be to slip or fall? Like, is the floor quite steady there?
I think as long as you're not hit by something, as long as you're fairly competent in winning, which obviously Sub-Zero is.
Sure, but if you're entirely watching somebody who's firing spells at you...
There's a chance, but equally I think Sub-Zero is fairly competent in many situations, having been a trained ninja in a fighting tournament. He is taught to be aware of his surroundings. It's not that they're just like, I just only care about the man.
And how big were these two big rocks?
About 2 meters tall. And they're about the size of a crate, to stand on top of. The surface area of a crate.
They're slightly taller than a person then?
Yeah.
About a person and a half?
Not quite that much.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly bigger than a person. They probably wouldn't shatter. They're quite big.
That's it. I was thinking what would probably happen then is Sub-Zero, like you say, being technically more in tune with his surrounding, would try and hide behind one of them.
Uh-huh.
Then what he would do, behind one of them, he could... You say there's a drop, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not directly next to them. But, if you fell off them, you would probably bounce all the way down.
Could you lower yourself to hang from said drop from behind that rock without another person seeing you? Like the person on the other side of the rock?
I mean, you could just hide behind the rock.
Yes, I know. But could you hang from the ledge without the other person knowing you had done that?
Well, it's not so much a ledge as a steep drop. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like,
you'd roll down.
imagine a death slide, but bumpy and rocky.
Yeah.
And 300 foot.
Well, what I was thinking is if Sub-Zero hid behind the rock, then made an ice clone to leave behind the rock, and then hid somewhere else, if he could do that, then when Voldemort came round to find him, would then instead hit the ice clone and be frozen.
But would Voldemort run into the ice clone, or would he just fire a spell at the ice clone?
It's true, he could just fly over.
And he'd probably just shoot the ice clone.
Sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's a good idea by Sub-Zero. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I just feel that Voldemort's just going to be like, spell, and explode. And then he's going to be like, that's not the person.
Yeah, rather than going round the rock, he'd probably just fly over the top of it. And then just blast it down. Yeah, okay. Which then leaves Sub-Zero in a potential hiding place that is no longer very hidden because his opponent has gone aerial and thus can see.
Also, good to know, this mountain is quite big, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Voldemort's flown up. So Nagini is nowhere near the top of this mountain yet. Just keeping that in mind.
You know what? I forgot Nagini was about.
Hey, snakes can't fly.
No.
Right. She's a big ass snake, but she's not a magic snake.
I mean, she is a magic snake.
Just the people out there, we've not forgotten about Nagini, but she ain't getting to the top of that mountain anytime soon.
Which is both good and bad for Sub-Zero.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Because Nagini will have to die.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that Voldemort was invincible until that Snook. That's Snook. That's Sneaky Snook. That snake got to the top. That's sad for him.
Anyway, so he's now kind of hidden on this very steep ledge with Voldemort flying above him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's now no longer hidden. So Sub-Zero is in a very bad position anyway.
Yeah, it's not good.
Because realistically, he's going to try and dodge a spell and at least partially fall down this hill, mountain, ledge, slope thing. And that will be bad.
I think because he hasn't fallen totally unprepared, if he's just like dropping, he probably wouldn't, go all the way. To be honest, I can't remember the exact geometry of that drop, but I imagine that it's not going to be as bad because it's more of a controlled fall, more like a descent rather than oh bugger, I'm already got the momentum going. You know what I mean?
Sure, but even in the controlled fall, it's still going to hurt a bit, and he cannot dodge another spell.
Yeah, it's not looking good, is it?
So I feel like the follow-up to that is Voldemort would just fire another one, and that might be it.
I have a feeling that probably would be the case for poor Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Fucking Avada Kedavra OP, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. I feel like had there been more of a sort of scenery to utilize, like if there'd been more hiding places, the fact that Sub-Zero is very much trained to fight and find the weaknesses and gaps in their attacks and stuff, had he been able to sort of hide and then take advantage from that, he'd have been all right.
Yeah, interestingly, I feel Sub-Zero had the same problem that Link had, but in the opposite sense. The terrain was too open.
Yes, this time the area was too big for him.
Yes, because, Voldemort's a damn good wizard, but he's not a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
So if it had been something like a labyrinth, don't know why that happened, like a labyrinth with a library in it, then assuming that he could have survived a first body or two or got close, that would have put Voldemort in a disadvantageous position. He wouldn't have been able to be killed, of course, until Nagini was killed. But if he'd got disarmed, it would have been in a very stalemate with Sub-Zero having the upper hand position.
Yeah, Sub-Zero could have just kept him frozen until he dealt with Nagini.
Mm.
And then could have used Nagini's corpse to smash his frozen form.
That would be very Sub-Zero.
Yeah, it'd have been brilliant. A shame that didn't happen, really.
What he could have done is ripped out Nagini's spine, which is pretty much the entire skeleton, and then used it to hang Voldemort.
He's never done hanging. He's just done spine destroying.
Well, spine destroying and spine preserving.
So, Sub-Zero's streak of 1 has been broken.
It has. Once again, the terrain was the biggest factor here because the fighters were so different.
Yes. I
very much feel that if it was... What other environments have we got? I know that would ruin the list. But, if it was like a library, for example, I think Sub-Zero would have had a very fair chance.
Yeah.
Or Sub-Zero. But yeah, that's what happens when you beat up Link.
Voldemort comes and messes you up.
Yeah, because obviously Lord Voldemort and Link are allies.
Yes, the hero of time and the Dark Lord.
Hey man, watch that. Can you imagine Lord Voldemort in Super Smash Bros?
That'd be pretty cool. I thought you were going to say, can you imagine Lord Voldemort and Link living together in some sort of kooky sitcom? One of them's the hero of time, and one of them wants to murder all the humans.
Handily, Link is a Hylian, and therefore not a human.
That's true.
I have no qualms of your race.
I felt like you were a little fairy boy in tights.
He's not in tights in the most recent edition.
It's true.
You can dress him in tights, though, I believe. I don't know.
Probably. Oh, to anyone who was wondering, we did find and watch a Link fashion show. It wasn't that great, but we could definitely make our own better if we have time.
Yeah, like, I enjoyed the concept of it. I didn't enjoy the narrator very much.
No, also the narrator kept referring to him as Zelda, and clearly doesn't know that he's called Link.
I think he was doing that on purpose.
I'm not convinced.
There.
Okay.
But yeah, there was some bit, but it was quite funny. Well, some of it was. The concept of it was funny.
Yeah.
Us finding the video was funny. The actual video was not funny. That makes sense.
So the next thing to do is we've got to leave a clue for who's coming next week. I would leave a clue, but I actually have no idea who this character is really, because it's one that you chose.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My clue then would be that they fought at least 2 of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and they're a true English gent.
Okay. That's ruddy mysterious.
That is ruddy mysterious.
A true English gent who's battled with the Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
At least 2 of them.
At least 2 of them.
Yes.
But potentially more?
I believe so. I mean, the 3rd game has been released. I'm not sure if they make an appearance there. What? More clues?
Oh my god, a game character. Right, so hopefully you have enjoyed today's somewhat more one-sided battle.
Sorry, Sub-Zero.
My god.
You got the short straw there.
Yeah, well, these things happen.
It does happen. This is what happens in the playground, though, isn't it?
That's it.
Often you'd be like, oh, my mum can beat up your mum. But actually, normally people would go with dads. And you'd be like, my dad's a firefighter. And then the other one would be like, yeah, but my dad's...
The Dark Lord Voldemort.
The Dark Lord Voldemort.
And you're like, whoa! Okay, your dad would win in a fight.
But where is this fight? Oh, it's on a mountain. Yeah, okay, your dad would win. Where is this fight? Oh, it's in a building that's on fire. Maybe actually my dad would win.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, coming into this episode, I genuinely had no idea which way it was going to go. And then...
Until we rolled the dice, and then it was like, oh.
Well, even then, I wasn't that sure. It was just, once we started talking things through, I was like, oh, this is definitely going bad for Sub-Zero.
The problem he had was he couldn't fly, and he had very little cover.
Yes.
Those are 2 big problems.
Right.
Anyway.
If you want to get in touch with us, let us know how you think that fight would have gone, or tell us what stupid Harry Potter trivia we got wrong.
All of it. Absolutely all of it. You didn't pronounce Avada Kedavra right. It's Avada Kedavra, not Avada Kedavra. I said those the same. I was trying to be Hermione.
I got you doing, but that was Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, no, they're not going to teach them the killing curse, are they? When they're 12.
Anyway, if you wanted to get in contact with us, you can do so on the Twitter at podcastmmm.
Tweet.
Let us know what you thought, or if you have any suggestions for future fighters, then please suggest them, and if we like them, we'll use them. Example being today, where we used Voldemort that was suggested to us. Also, if you want to suggest any locations to add to the Die of Death list, then please do that also. And if you liked it, then tune in next time for episode 3. And also, spread the word. Tell people about the podcast. Get them to listen too.
Get them to have the same discussion.
Yeah. That's it. Feel free to have this discussion with your friends. Who do you think would win between Sub-Zero and Voldemort on top of a mountain?
If you don't agree with us, you're probably wrong. But, I mean, it's your opinion.
Yeah, you could be right. Like I say, tell us on the Twitter. So, that's all for today. See you next time. Bye!
Catch yours lates. That's my catchphrase.
It's a good catchphrase.
I use it at work a lot. People look at me like I'm strange. This is the end of the recording.